So you saw how the middle class has been crushed in the past decades. Is that an accident? Well, data tells me otherwise. What data tells me is that the middle class is being actually engineered out of the economy using the five transitions that are taking place at the same time. You know, the green transition, the digital transition, new globalization, the transition to a war economy, and five, the transition out of the housing crisis, we hope. It's not out, not even close. Each of these transitions was meant to make us stronger. I mean, we need to preserve the planet. We need to become digital and more productive. We need new supply chains more resilient. Unfortunately, we need to rebuild the war economy to keep us safe. And we surely need to get out of the housing crisis and find solutions for it. But what happens, in fact, is that these transitions altogether are rewriting who gets to win. It's not the middle class. So this for innovators can change everything because we were told that innovation would lift all boats, as they say. But what we can see is that the tide is owned by the few who control attention, data, and capital. And that's the real story behind this episode. But more important than any of this, we have this interview with Jason Fishman. He's a marketeer who's helped over 500 new companies, mostly startups, raise hundreds of millions through investor campaigns. He's the kind of guy you want to work with if you are trying to get funds for your new innovation and get it to the market. So what he says is that if you want funding, treat it like a marketing exercise because the buzz can be worth more than the capital. I like that sentence. We'll unpack in this interview how that mindset can save your next Horizon proposal. And we'll also look, speaking of Horizon, we'll also take a look at an open call, an Horizon call. It's a 50 million call funding innovative mental health interventions. So the video will show you how to align your ideas, build the right consortium, and actually stand out. Because transition science is not really a theory, it's a survival skill. So stay with me. By the end of the episode, you'll know how to turn the transitions taking place who are crushing the middle class, how to turn them into opportunities for your next research project. And don't miss my new book coming out next week. I'm getting nervous. Transition Science in the Economy. You can find a link in the notes. Hope to see you there. If you look around, you can see the middle class that once was the stabilizing force of our societies is being squeezed. Wages stagnate, housing explodes, uncertainty feels permanent. But here's the thing, this is not a coincidence. You can say it's physics, the physics of five unstoppable transitions. And understanding these transitions may decide who wins and who's left behind in the next decade. In my new book, Transition Science in the Economy, I use data to show that the middle class isn't disappearing by accident. It's being measured out of existence because our tools, like GDP, they reward motion, not progress. They count war as wealth, debt as dynamism, and speculation as success. So with transition science, we replace that illusion with the evidence. And the evidence tells us that five major transitions now decide prosperity and risk for every nation. So you know them, the green transition, It's essential for survival if you want to have a planet to live on. But what happens is energy costs rise before the savings arrive. So the costs are upon the middle class, and the future savings, when they arrive, we'll see. The digital transition is also absolutely necessary. The AI and automation are needed to boost productivity. Otherwise, we will not have enough labor to take care of the shrinking population in the future. The new globalization is absolutely indispensable. Reshoring makes supply chains resilient, but it also makes them more expensive, and guess who pays again? The war economy transition, with defense budgets growing, will be unfortunately needed. But guess again, who pays the taxes to support all that? And the housing transition, you can see property inflation has turned the cities impossible for middle class to live in. With all these transitions going on, each was meant to move us forward, greener, smarter, safer. Yeah. But without measurement and coordination, you can see they will collide instead of converge, and that collision is crushing the middle class. So for researchers and innovators, this means only one thing: your projects cannot live in silos anymore. Every Horizon Europe proposal, every innovation strategy, every policy pilot must now connect the transitions. The next generation of research funding won't reward isolated brilliance. It will reward balanced projects that generate green and digital and social, everything. That's why transition science is more than a theory, it's a toolkit. It helps decision makers measure where their country, their city, their consortium stands on each transition. It shows how balanced progress converts uncertainty into opportunity. And for innovators, it's the missing compass between research impact and market adoption. So, because here's the truth, every disruption that hits the middle class is also missed innovation. When families cannot afford housing, we lose talent. When wages don't follow productivity, we lose trust. When transitions advance without inclusion, innovation slows. So, fixing the middle class is not nostalgia, it's a precondition for long term innovation capacity. Transition science in the economy explains how to measure these dynamics project by project. It transforms about 150,000 data points into an actionable framework, the AWTY index. If you work in research policy or innovation funding, this book will show you how to make money, avoid losses, and build resilience all at once. November 15th. Pre-order, read it, and start designing projects that actually move societies forward. I'll run a LinkedIn event on that day. Register now and start measuring what really matters. Check my LinkedIn. So, because the question isn't whether the transitions will happen, it's whether we'll shape them or will we be shaped by them. Let's choose measurement over illusion and progress over motion. Okay. Welcome back to InnovEU, the EU Project Chronicles. Welcome, Jason Fishman, to the podcast. Thank you for being here. In case people are wondering who is Jason Fishman, will you introduce yourself and what you do?
Absolutely, Fernando. Thank you for inviting me to participate in this podcast. I've been looking forward to today's discussion. My name is Jason Fishman. I run an agency, a marketing agency here in Los Angeles that focuses on investor acquisition. We've worked on over 500 campaigns that target investors and measure conversion rates, cost of capital, transactional value from our content marketing, our advertising, and our outreach campaigns.
So
Have raised
let
hundreds
me
of
ask
millions in
you
capital.
a couple of questions there. Your
Please.
clients are mostly essentially American, only American, or do you also have European clients?
We have European clients, and I've spoken at European conferences, investor conferences in London, Paris,
Mhm.
Istanbul. I have to follow different guidelines. We're on the marketing side. We submit creative to get sign off by legal for our clients' campaigns, ensuring compliance. But we've worked on campaigns that have to exclusively target investors in Europe, Asia, APAC, Australia, New Zealand down there.
Mhm.
There's a Regulation S that allows for international targeting. We've also worked with groups in Web3 and other types of investor marketing initiatives. So it's been a global push for us.
So you set up campaigns to gather capital to invest in new companies, in innovation. What's your main instrument for doing that? What kind of campaigns you set up?
Absolutely. So yes, it is all about marketing to investors, bringing in capital. We work on behalf of those issuers, the companies issuing shares. And we set up content marketing funnels, meaning they're taking audiences from the point of awareness to consideration of the deal, intent, they intend to invest in the deal, still a drop off from those that move from intent to conversion. For many of the retail campaigns, we'll see multiple conversions, multiple investments. And then at the bottom of the funnel is advocacy. Peer-to-peer marketing is the ultimate form of marketing. So we'll populate that funnel of social media posts, email marketing, drip systems, and newsletters that will get audiences to sign up for to receive content and long form content, webinars, live events, could even have guests on there, articles, videos, offering page updates, press releases. Why content marketing? Because statistically, it's going to be 7 touch points or more before an investor converts. We want to be intentional about what audiences see when they're searching around and doing their due diligence. And statistically, a higher conversion rate comes out of a good content marketing funnel. So we're selling a campaign short if I don't start the discussion there. We then drive traffic from advertising channels and outreach into that funnel. Advertising, I usually begin on Meta, over 1 billion daily active users. I'm able to upload my email list. I've built a database of over 1.8 million
Mhm.
historical, I call them equity crowdfunding investors, but I've used it towards publicly traded, campaigns. I've used it towards gold, real estate, Web3 initiatives, highly active retail and accredited audiences is what they really are, high net worth and retail. But with advertising, you get all the analytics. So how much I'm paying to reach them based on bid systems and the impression costs, the click-through rate, how much traffic we're driving to an offering page. And I could talk about traffic goals, traffic projections, and average conversion rates. And then, of course, the conversion metrics themselves. I'm able to put an advertising pixel on many of these
Mhm.
investment platforms so I can see which audiences with what creatives in what period of time are converting, do more of what's working, phase out what's not producing, scale up. On our Reg CF campaigns, we shoot for a 10x return on advertising spend. Our Regulation A plus campaigns, which could raise up to $75 million, kind of 20x is really what we're playing for. Regulation D, which is to accredit investors, higher minimum investment level, where Regulation A plus would probably be around 500, maybe 100 to $1,000 as the minimum investment. A Reg D is probably 25, 50K. So the average investment's commonly over 100K. Maybe you're seeing 40x or higher with the lead gen exercise with advertising and then retargeting to follow. And then lastly, I mentioned outreach. Big fan of LinkedIn outreach. Could talk
Mhm.
about creating email systems, environments to keep your primary URL safe for email outreach as well. Bit spammier, but you could hit more volume. But that's how
So
we've been able to do it: content, advertising, and outreach
how long have you been doing that?
since 2015. Since 2015, my background is in advertising. Used to run a mobile advertising network and was able to utilize data partnerships to reach high net worth, high household income audiences, filtering by various investor behaviors and online interests. Saw success. First campaign we worked on raised $2.83 million. Spent about 20,000 in advertising to do that. So client was very happy. They were sharing with different people in their network. We kept getting brought to these Reg D capital raises. And then got attention from the reward crowdfunding world. Reward crowdfundings, platforms like Kickstarter and Indiegogo. A lot of the agencies they were white labeling us for our advertising abilities after seeing the case studies. And
Hmm.
they actually brought us to our first Reg CF campaigns, regulation crowdfunding, once that law went into effect back in May of 2016. And to date, I've worked on over 500 of these rounds. I showcase many of the results in my
500.
podcast.
500, you
Yeah,
said. Wow.
over 500.
Uh, with that experience, would you say it's becoming easier or more difficult to gather capital to fund innovation?
Mm. It's easier to set up.
Uh-huh.
The performance is always going to be a variable. It's true if you're launching a first marketing campaign for e-commerce or B2B or user acquisition. It's true if you're raising capital. And when you look at the percentages of how many companies, how many founders successfully raise funds from VCs, from venture capitalists, or from angel investors, it's very low, under 5% from the studies I look at. I've seen under 1% in
Hmm.
decimals. So you have these inherent obstacles with fundraising and marketing combined together. I would not tell anyone, hey, this is systematic, and if you run these channels, you're going to see performance. Uh, I've worked with solopreneurs that I had doubts around the results they were going to be able to achieve. I've worked with celebrities, athletes that have underproduced. Seen the solopreneurs overproduce in that same window of time. So we have assumptions going in, but we need the data to show us what's
Hmm.
working and do more of it. We want to give campaigns their best shot towards success, and it's more streamlined to set up, more sophisticated of a campaign and in a smaller window of time. But results will vary.
And do you think that probability of success is different for European and American startups, or is it nowadays the same?
I would say there's more similarities than differences.
Hmm.
And it's really the crowd effect that you're playing for. It's social dynamics at play. People are looking for that line around the block. People are responding to their own fears of missing out on this
Hmm.
opportunity.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, Retail investors buy at the top of the market because of the frenzy that's occurring. And it's very much true on these crowd sales. And I don't mean that in any type of demeaning way, as much as
Sure.
the audience gravitates to where the audience is. If a campaign has under $100,000 raised, whether it's in the US, whether it's in Europe, regardless, it's going to have what I would call an empty restaurant sensation,
Yeah.
where you're questioning why you're on that offering page, why you're there. Hey, product looks good, team looks nice, experienced, but no one's here. Is there
Hmm.
something I don't understand? Something's off.
Hmm.
I've eaten at empty restaurants where I didn't enjoy the meal as much. I pushed myself to stick through it, but it wasn't as pleasurable. Meanwhile, that location with the line around the block across the street, you may not know anything about the product. You may not know what they serve, but you're telling yourself, you're telling your partner, your family, oh, I want to go there. I want to check that out. That looks interesting to me. There's a saying in traditional investing, venture capital, everyone wants to be first, to be second. Meaning, once a deal is validated by a major investor, major firm, you'll see all types of other investors. Maybe they had conversations with
Sure.
the CEO before, hopping on board and participating. And it's that social proof. It's the third party validation. It's a lot of the best practices you would see on landing page design or any type of funnel conversion rate optimization that are present in these capital raise campaigns. So I would argue that whether it's Europe, whether it's Asia, if you have millions of dollars raised from thousands of investors and all types of publishers speaking about you, showcasing investor testimonials, you're going to be in a good place.
Hmm. So for anyone with innovation to put in the market to fund, if he's if he's able to get that social proof to create that buzz, this can be a good timing, but that's crucial.
Absolutely. There's a formula to it. It's not just the buzz. You need to make sure that buzz is physically producing enough traffic or you're running enough marketing traffic. So if you get an average conversion rate and an average investment level value, if you will, you are going to be able to raise enough to substantiate your goal. A lot of campaigns don't drive enough traffic,
Mhm.
so you need to keep an eye on it, make sure there's enough people getting to that page. But yes, if you have enough of the right signals on there, you're bringing the right amounts of people in the right amount of time, you absolutely can be taking the same steps that many of the top issuers do. We've worked
Mhm.
on, multiple campaigns that have raised over $50 million each this year. Have worked on groups that have, at this point, one of those actually has over 50,000 investors. 50,000 people
Wow.
have invested into them. That's power. The
Mhm.
amount of reposts that occur with an exciting social media announcement there. The media value is very large,
Mhm.
and from enthusiasts, people who are really pushing this company out there. I would point out as well, it's far more than just the capital. This is a marketing exercise. If you want to see effectiveness on it, you have to treat it like a marketing campaign. The marketing value that you get could easily be worth more than the capital that you're raising while hitting your full goal. It's just I've worked with groups where their valuation keeps jumping each round that they run, where publishers want to cover them. I've had clients featured as, Forbes 30 under 30 or, a variety of different accolades afterwards. And it's just a very, very large statement to make from the marketing perspective.
What tendencies do you see for the future, or where do you think all this is going?
Oh, I think more and more of our lives will be lived online. So when I look at business, origination, launching, creation, the majority of companies fail their first year in business. I think it's 90% in the US here fail in the first 12 months. And I would point that a lot of companies are undercapitalized and it's
Yeah.
that takes them out. So capital formation has been an issue. If more companies were able to uh, secure financing, have the funds needed to bring on the right teams to develop their product, even if they're further along, even if they're producing millions of dollars a year in profits, let alone revenues, it takes a notable amount of spending to be able to get to the next stages, to be able to take on more market share.
Hmm.
So, if they're able to target their audience, if they're able to reach investors that are outside of their first degree networks, which is what, the startup space looked like for decades, is like, hey, who do you know? Who do they know?
Mhm.
You're able to bring in some family money, friends, someone who's able to tap into their network. Maybe you're able to get this funded. If you don't, good luck. Maybe you bring
Mhm.
in a large client or someone takes an interest in you, but good luck. Now, this is democratized access to uh, capital for founders and to early stage deals, growth stage deals, I should say, to investors, where before it was, you know, hearing about it at the country club or
Yeah.
through that first degree network of, hey, this company is going to become the next unicorn. And you hear those stories. If you would have invested in Facebook in 2004 or 2005 and how you'd be a billionaire now, those deals are becoming available. Those deals, we've worked with groups that when they first started as a $20 million valuation, they're now multiple billion-dollar valuations.
Oh. Mhm.
So you could imagine as an investor what that means.
Sure.
And I believe this will be the primary approach towards raising capital in years to come.
So, if anyone either in the States, in Europe, or in Asia, has this pressing idea to get to the market, this startup that is ready to finance. Can you put your contacts in the episode notes so that they can get in touch with you and get help?
Absolutely. Knock on the door of our office, Marina Del Rey. Come on out. Yes, I'm happy to. And my YouTube channel has our podcasts weekly, our monthly webinars. Digitalnicheagency.com is our site. Find me on LinkedIn. We'll put it all in the notes.
Yeah, great. We'll put all that in the notes so that people can get in touch with you. Thank you very much for this time. I know you have other commitments. Thank you very much for this interview. I hope it will be very useful to our audience, and well, hope to see you soon. Thank you.
My pleasure, Fernando. Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.
If your team works on brain health, new therapies, smart monitoring, or real-world clinical studies, this call can fund you to move faster, prove value, and de-risk go-to-market. I'll unpack who should apply, what wins, deadlines, budgets, and how to save months of effort. This is a Horizon Europe Health, two-stage research and innovation action, RIA, to advance innovative interventions for mental, behavioral, and neurodevelopmental disorders. Think severe depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, PTSD, addictions, OCD, eating disorders, autism spectrum, etc. Rare diseases are excluded. Projects should run rigorous clinical studies, leverage digital AI and wearables for long-term monitoring, exploit data biobanks under FAIR, engage patients, regulators early, and tap EU research infrastructures, ECRIN, ATRIS, eBrains, BBMRI, Eurobioimaging. SMEs and startups are explicitly encouraged. Winning proposals help clinicians and scientists adopt state-of-the-art tools and data, strengthen EU-wide collaboration, embed fair data reuse, inform policymakers and regulators, and crucially deliver tangible patient benefits with lasting therapeutic impact. Plan adequately powered clinical studies, age, use, sex, ethnicity represented. Gain mechanistic insight with imaging omics, and pair product-based interventions, an active substance, with a complementary non-pharma or digital approach, e.g., neurostimulation, psychotherapy, psychosocial, AI-enabled monitoring. Co-design with patients and caregivers and involve SSH expertise to maximize societal impact. Two-stage call. Stage 1 deadline, 16 Sep 2025. Stage 2 deadline, 16 April 2026. All deadlines are 1700 Brussels time. Total topic budget, $50 The Commission estimates 6 to 8 millions per project is appropriate. You can request differently with justification. Type of action, RIA. This topic uses lump sum funding. Standard Horizon Europe collaborative eligibility applies. Proposals typically require a minimum of 3 independent legal entities, each established in a different EU member state or associated country. See General Annex B. Notably, US legal entities are eligible for EU funding under this topic. If you use satellite EO, positioning, timing, make use of Copernicus and/or Galileo EGNOS. This topic is subject to restrictions for the protection of European communication networks. This is a blind evaluation pilot at Stage 1. Do not reveal organization names, acronyms, logos, or personnel names in the abstract or Part B of the first stage application. Stage 1 thresholds, excellence, 4, impact, 4. The combined threshold is calibrated so invited proposals total are 3.5, 4x the available budget. Clinical Studies Annex. Use the official template. It's strongly encouraged here and expected for second stage invites. Provide a trial protocol timeline and an RCT protocol approval date within 12 months from project start. This reduces regulatory risk and signals feasibility. Design for adoption. Engage patients, caregivers, clinicians, and regulators early. Budget for joint networking meetings across funded projects. Data and ethics. Build fair data management and GDPR-compliant processes into your work plan. Infrastructures and SMEs. Leverage EU infrastructures. ECRIN, ATRIS, eBrains, BBMRI, Eurobioimaging. and bring SMEs, startups for translational punch. Ideal consortia blend, clinical trialists and CROs, digital AI teams for at-home monitoring, biobanks, registries, patient organizations, regulators, HTA input, and SMEs with scalable tech. Align with destination, tackling diseases and reducing disease burden and its brain health emphasis for 2025. Two-stage RIA, 6 to 8 minutes typical per project, 50 minutes total. Stage 1, 16 SEP 2025. Stage 2, 16 APR 2026 at 17 Euro Brussels. Blind first stage. Follow the clinical annex, engage patients and regulators, deliver fair data and real-world impact. For full details and submission, visit the Funding and Tenders portal.
Credits, author and host Fernando C. Gaspar, music Hugo Gaspar, Lisbon, Portugal, 2024. Reach us by email or DM.